The first mistake wasn't coming to Alaska in winter. The first mistake was going alone.
I'd flown into Anchorage for a quick reset trip. One of those dumb ideas you get when life feels loud and you want silence to fix it.
I rented a truck, stocked up on snacks, a cheap sleeping bag, and a new action camera I swore I'd actually use.
The plan was simple. Drive out to a frozen lake, film some cinematic shots, and spend a night in a cabin I found online that looked cozy and safe.
The listing said, remote but accessible, beautiful ice, wildlife sightings possible.
What it didn't say was, no cell service, no nearby roads, and if you go through the ice, nobody hears you scream.
By late afternoon, the sky turned that pale winter blue that looks peaceful until you realize it's basically a countdown.
The sun started sinking early, and the temperature dropped fast. The kind of cold that makes your nose sting and your eyelashes feel heavy. I pulled off the highway onto a snow-packed trail. 10 minutes in, the trees swallowed the last hint of civilization.
And that's when my truck fishtailed. I tried to reverse. The tires spun and sprayed snow like a blender.
I tried to drive forward. Same thing.
I got out, and the cold hit me like a slap. It wasn't just cold, it was empty. No wind, no birds, no distant traffic. Just a white forest and the sound of my own breathing.
I told myself not to panic.
Then my phone showed no service.
I took a slow look around and did the math every American has been taught by movies. If you stay with your vehicle, you're easier to find.
If you walk out, you get lost and die. But the cabin was supposedly near the lake, and I could see it. I grabbed my backpack, my camera, and a small emergency kit. I locked the truck out of habit, like that mattered, Chris, and started walking.
The forest thinned, and then I saw it. The lake.
It was enormous. A wide sheet of ice stretching into the distance like a frozen ocean.
And to the right, near the tree line, I spotted the cabin. Relief hit me so hard I almost laughed.
I was fine. I was safe. I was about to have a great story. Then I heard it. A noise that didn't belong. Not a crack of ice. I knew what that sounded like. Not a branch.
This was deeper. A low, hollow boom that traveled under my boots.
Instead, I did what too many people do right before a disaster. I kept walking.
I wanted a shot, Ralph. Just one good shot, no, of the ice stretching into the sunset. I stepped farther.
The first crack sounded like a gunshot. B-A-N-G. My stomach dropped. I looked down and saw a jagged wall.
It didn't crack. It didn't break. It opened.
One second I was standing on a lake. The next second I was falling into black water so cold it felt like electricity. My hands slapped ice. I couldn't grip it. It was slick, and my gloves instantly turned into wet.
The cold did something terrifying. It didn't just hurt. It stole my strength. My arms went heavy like someone strapped weights to them.
I managed to hook one elbow over the ice and kick. My boots dragged in the water, and I felt the current pull my legs under.
That's when I saw it. Below the hole, lean, just past the black plank, a pale shape moved.
It moved like something that had been waiting.
A new crack snapped, and a slab of ice tilted under my elbow. I lost my hold.
I forced myself to calm down, even though my body was screaming. I turned my chest toward the ice and kicked hard, trying to slide my torso onto the surface.
It worked, Italy. Barely. My stomach got on the ice. My hips got on the ice. I didn't stand.
I rolled over. When I finally reached thicker snow near the shore, I tried to get up and almost collapsed. My legs were shaking so badly I couldn't trust them. I crawled toward the cabin.
I turned my head. The hole in the ice was moving. Not the hole itself, but the dark water inside.
I forced myself to stand and stumbled, half running, half falling toward the cabin door. It was locked.
Of course it was locked. My hands didn't work. I fumbled the key from the lockbox outside, dropping it.
I jammed it into the door and twisted until it finally turned. I fell inside and slammed the door with my shoulder.
The cabin was tiny. A table, a cot, a dusty propane heater, and a stack of firewood.
I stripped off my soaked jacket with shaking hands and tried to get the heater going. My brain felt slow, like it was dragging through mud.
That's when I realized something else. My camera was still strapped to my chest. It was blinking, still recording. I stared at it like it wasn't real. Like I hadn't almost died. Then a new sound made my blood go cold again. Outside. The ice didn't just crack. It complained. Like it was under pressure.
I forced myself to the window and wiped frost from the glass. The sun was gone now. The lake was a dark field with faint moonlight.
But my body didn't believe my brain. My body remembered the shape moving beneath me.
I spent the next hour doing the only thing that mattered. Heat.
I rubbed my hands until the feeling started creeping back in painful pins and needles.
I kept thinking about one thing. If I'd been 10 feet farther out, if the ice had broken wider,
No one would have found me until spring. And even then, maybe not.
At some point, the cabin warmed enough for me to function. I found a flare in the emergency box and set it near the door. I ate half a protein bar, even though my mouth felt like rubber.
then I heard footsteps. Not human footsteps. Too light, too irregular.
Right outside the cabin wall, I froze, listening. The crunching circled the cabin once, then stopped at the front door.
I didn't move for what felt like an hour. My eyes stayed locked on the door like it might explode inward.
Finally, I forced myself to look out the window again. The lake was still. The hole was just a dark scar in the eye.
Morning came like a miracle.
When the sky lightened, I stumbled outside and saw fresh tracks in the snow. Not bear, not wolf.
The trail led toward the lake and stopped right at the edge of the ice. I didn't follow it. I went back to the truck, used daylight to dig the tires out, shoved branches and wood under the wheels for traction.
I drove until my hands stopped shaking.
But I also got something else. A single frame pod, right as I fell, Vars.
where the water beneath the ice wasn't empty.
A pale shape, too close, facing up, and if you zoom in, it looks like it's looking straight at the camera. I've never gone back to that lake, and I don't film on ice anymore.
Because the scariest part isn't that I fell through. The scariest part is what I felt in that freezing black water. That I wasn't alone down there.